Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over the new level 2 language arts curriculum from The Good and the Beautiful, and I'm really excited to be able to do this with my son and be able to show it to you. So if you enjoy these types of videos, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. Okay, I like to start off these videos by giving my background with The Good and the Beautiful because we haven't been doing it for that long. It's only been about a year since we started doing their math curriculum, and it was their new math curriculum, the Simply Good and the Beautiful math. And then we've only been doing their language arts for maybe about 6 months. And I like to give this background because I really don't know a lot about their old curriculum. Okay, this level 2 has just been redone. They redid, I think, some of their kindergarten and level 1 and level 2 in the past few months. And I have someone that's going to be using level 2, so I thought I would go through it with you and just show you some of the differences I noticed because we have the old level 1 that he's currently working on. But I'm not an expert on their curriculum. I haven't used any of their older math or language arts curriculum, so I don't know a whole lot about it, for just to be straightforward and honest. So if I say things that maybe aren't correct, I'm sorry. I'm just going from what I understand, and I just want to kind of give you an overview of what it looks like and some things that I have noticed, things I'm excited for. So that's kind of what we're going to do here today. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's get into the language arts curriculum. Okay, so when you buy the curriculum, it comes with these 4 things. So you have the course book right here, and then you have the reading booster C cards. So because this is level 2, I think B is level 1 and A is kindergarten. And so we have that, and then it comes with these 2 read-alongs that go with these cards right here. And then it also suggests you can buy a book as a kind of a companion study. And so I guess they have nature readers for level 1, 2, and 3. So I just got this one for my 3rd nature reader to try it out. We don't have any of the other ones, so we're gonna see how this goes and just have him kind of read it along with the curriculum. But a few things I just want to mention before I get into talking a little bit more about the curriculum itself are things that I really love about it already. Even though we haven't used this curriculum, I love how there's very minimal prep time. You can basically just open it up when you sit down to do homeschool and you can just get started. There really isn't a whole lot you need to do, and if you need a few extra things, it will tell you. And sometimes it tells you a week or 2 in advance, especially if it's something you need to prepare more for. That was something I noticed. I think it's in my level 4 for my older kids. It told us a month in advance, you need this for this lesson, and then the next week you need this. So I love how it constantly reminds us, because we need that. We need that help. But it also just gives a list at the beginning, so if you want to go through and just get everything you need so you can just easily pull it out, that's great too. But it's usually very simple stuff, and a lot of it you probably already have. So I just love how I really don't have to do much. I can just pull it out and we can just get to work. That's one of the best things about the Good and the Beautiful curriculum, is it's just very easy and there's very little prep work involved. Okay, something else that I really love about the language arts curriculum is the spiral learning approach. And so before, when we were doing language arts, we had everything separate. You know, I had spelling from this company, I had reading from this company, I had grammar from this company. And while you still might want to add in a few extra if your kids need that somewhere, this has all those things, and it does poetry with spelling, it does some geography, and it's all in there and integrated together. And so you're not gonna do all those things on one given day, because that would be a lot. So you'll do a few of those things, and then the next day they'll add in some of those things, but then add in something new. And then the next day, you know, on and on and on, this spiral learning approach where you're constantly being reminded a week later what you learned the week before. And that's how it's very easy. I won't say it's very easy, but it's a lot easier for our brains to remember things when that is the case, instead of just mastering a concept and moving on. And then maybe you come back to that concept in a long period of time later. But when you don't constantly review it, it's a lot easier for you to forget it. So I really love that spiral learning approach. And then the last thing I'll mention that I really love about them is how beautiful all their curriculum is. I just love it. Look at this painting. So, you know, in here it talks a lot about art as well. They'll have some paintings you get to kind of go through and talk about and discuss with your kids. And look at how beautiful this one is. I just love it. I think the detail is amazing for being in this type of a book. you know, it just is very detailed and it's beautiful. So I really appreciate that they're like attention to all the little details. They're very, very good at all the little details. Okay, so when we first open the book, it talks about some of the items that are needed on the page. Like I said, it'll list all the things you need for the different units, and it talks about these course books that come with it. You'll need those. But then they have, I believe these are new because I hadn't heard about them until just this summer when all this new curriculum was coming out, is the Letter Tiles app and the homeschooling app, and they are both free, which I really appreciate. But the Letter Tiles app, I love the way it's laid out. We haven't used it a lot. I've kind of just gone in and played with it a little bit, but it is so much better. So I think, what is it, All About Reading has an app as well. And I stopped using it because and you have to pay for that one. I stopped using it because it just drove me a little bit bonkers. Maybe it's better now. This has been a few years ago, but it was not my favorite and I didn't love it. But the thing that I really think is cool about this Letter Tiles app is that it is separated into the units already. So you go in and you click on, you know, whatever level you're on, like K through second, and then it has all the lessons that open up, and you click the lesson and then it knows exactly what you're supposed to be using for that lesson. And I just think it's very well thought out and very easy to use. And then there's the, excuse me, homeschooling app that has resources in there as well. It even has a video that kind of goes through how to use the curriculum. So if you want to go through it, it actually recommends in here that one of the first things you do is go and watch the video. And so I did watch the video and it did help clarify some things. So I really like that part as well. So those are two apps that they will use in here. It has a like little picture of it in the book when you need to use it. And so you could get along without it for sure, or you can use, like it says, your own, like if you wanted to do magnet tiles or something, and they can do that like physically on a whiteboard or something, you could also do that. You don't have to use the tile app that they have. So there's other options if you don't want to use the app, or even if you want to switch it up and use the app sometimes. Okay, then it talks about some items to have on hand. So, you know, just your normal like pencils, scissors, whiteboard. There are different readers that they can read, because usually every day it has them read for like 20 to 30 minutes after their lesson. And then it has the items you need for Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. And so you can go through those. Like I said, most of them are pretty simple. You're not gonna have to buy anything new. It'll just be pretty easy to go through and grab them when you need them, but you could also set them aside so it's all ready to go. And then it does mention the suggested coordinated reading, which is the nature reader. And so we have that, and we're gonna try that out as well. And then it does have a whole page that talks about the Letter Tiles app. So if you wanted to look at that more, if you wanted to understand it a little bit better, it has a little bit more of an explanation there that you can look at. And then there's a whole section about the course that goes in and talks about an overview of the previous courses, what they would be learning. It talks about how preschool to level 1 is more parent involvement, but then once you get above, like level 4 and above, it's a little bit more self-directed by the student, so that can help you plan your homeschool as well. And then it goes through and talks about what this course is gonna cover. So there's phonics and reading and spelling, writing, grammar and punctuation, literature, art, poetry memorization and appreciation, and geography. So there's a lot of things that it's gonna be covering and talking about, and then gives you some ideas for prep, maybe how much time you wanna spend each week. So it suggests 4 to 5 days. And we will probably be doing about 4 days a week, and then goes through some of the principles that you will find in this course. And so those things are helpful if you want to read through them. And it also talks about how there's an answer key that you can download for free, which some of these lower grades, I don't necessarily need an answer key. Maybe for grammar, it's not my strong point. So maybe for that, we do need one. What is this curl doing over here, guys? You all know when I go to do my hair, it's a party, which is why it's always in a ponytail. Anyway, and so if you need an answer key for this, you know, that might be helpful. I usually don't need it for the lower grades, but it's still great to know that it's there. And then there's some unit reviews and assessments that can be done, that are done usually just in the book. Like they'll have them split up every so often. There'll be a unit review or assessment. And then it talks a little bit about the poetry memorization. not my kid's favorite thing. Well, I guess it depends on the kid, right? Some kids like it more than others. Guys, what the heck is going on? I don't know. But then something that I thought was really cool is the read-alouds. So like I said, we'll get into this booster card book in just a second. But these read-alouds are super cool because they have it separated, like they have a teacher part and a student part. And so when you look at this, I'll do a close-up so you can see it better. But when you look at this, there is a student section that has bigger writing, and then there's a parent-teacher section which has some smaller writing, and it switches off as they read. And I think this is absolutely brilliant because sometimes a lot of like this would be a lot of reading for a kid if they had to read all of this, and they need bigger words. So I like how the words are bigger for them. But then the fact that they get a little break and then they get to have a turn again, I think is helpful for kids because reading can be quite exhausting. And so the fact that it has that option, I think is really, really cool. So I really liked that in those readers. A few other things that I don't really care about very much. Maybe I should, but maybe you do care about it, is it continues its at a glance, and it talks about the phonics principles taught and the grammar uses and punctuation, the art, geography, literature, and writing that's all taught, and the spelling principles and the spelling rules taught. And so again, if those things are important to you, you can look through and see what is taught, and that might be helpful. And then it also talks about an overview of what they would have been learning in level 1 and in level K. And so if you're not sure with reading what they would have been learning, or maybe if they missed something or they're struggling with something, you could look back and see where they were supposed to learn it and maybe review those types of things. It also goes through spelling for all the levels as well, so that you could, well, from level K to level 2. And so you can go through and you can look through and see what they were supposed to be learning or what they did learn and stuff like that. And then there's this very important page that tells you to stop. And so you better listen. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I won't make you listen, but it wants the student to be able to read this passage in under 2 minutes with 6 or fewer mistakes. Okay, and so that's important. And then in this booster reading cards, it also has a spot of things they're supposed to have mastered before they start the course. So this page right here, they need to be able to know all these things before you start the course. And if they haven't, then keep practicing this every day for, like 10, 15 minutes until they have mastered it, and then start the course. That's something that is important. And this whole booster pack card thing is different than the level we currently have. And then from level K, we've also done the new one. That was a really good way to say that. The old version of level K, we have also started to work on with my preschooler. Well, I guess she's going into kindergarten, and it doesn't have this either. So this is, as far as my understanding, this is all new to these revised level K through level 2. And I think it's really great. It's a really good job. So they need to have this mastered. And then the last step is to go watch the video on the app, like I told you. So you can go watch the video on the app, and it will help explain things maybe clearer than I'm explaining them, because it's looking like mud right now, let's be honest. But and then you go in and it gives a unit 1 overview, and then just kind of looking at one of the lessons so you can kind of see what that's like. It starts off this first lesson again by telling you, do not start until these are mastered. Okay, so if this isn't mastered, do not start this book. And then it says to work on this. So this booster pack, I don't know why I called it that, booster cards. I just keep thinking of booster off of, now I can't even think of what the movie is called, the Christmas movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anyway, and so that's what the helper guy, his name is Booster in that, for Turbo Man. Maybe the name will come to me in a minute. I'm totally losing my mind. Anyways, so whenever I hear Booster, at least, especially whenever my husband hears that, that's all I can think of, because they're like, we don't like you, Booster. And that's all he ever thinks about. Anyway, that was a tangent. And so let's get into this just for a second and talk about this, because this is something you're gonna start every day with going through. And so it has these little cards, and I think it says to do 1 to 3 every single day for like 8 to 12 minutes. And that's what your first box on here is gonna say. So it has a card, it has a concept on here, it has ways to practice. And then some of these days, I think, yeah, this one says to read out of this book. So you'll read the first chapter in this book, The Wesley and the Wolves. And so it will tell you right there when you need to do that. And it has just some fun, different things that they're gonna be learning. And then something that's also important, I believe in the workbook, the main book, it's going to tell you, do not move on in this book if they haven't mastered to a certain point on these cards. Okay, so that's really important. It's like, don't jump ahead in the book. Make sure that they've mastered where they're supposed to be in the cards, and then you can keep moving forward in the book once they've gotten to that point. So instead of going forward in the book, every day you just spend a little bit more time working on the cards until they have what they're supposed to have mastered, because then other concepts in the book won't make sense because they will not have learned them or mastered them. Okay, so this is very important for you to be able to do. And then when they are mastered, there's a little circle down in the bottom, and there's stickers at the very back right here that they can put that they have mastered this card. And it tells you at the beginning of this book what it means for it to be mastered. So if you're not quite sure, I think most of us can kind of gauge when they've mastered, but it says the child knows all the items on the card on their first try. And then number 2 is after practicing, the child can easily and quickly complete each item on 2 different days. Okay, so that's kind of how you know if it's mastered. And so this gives a lot of good details right here of how to use the cards. Okay, then as we continue on this lesson, it's gonna have us read a section to the child before we do a poem with them. And it's having us discuss color in these poems and how it adds to the poem. And so that's something we're gonna go through, and then we're gonna talk about Q and QU and how they're best friends. And we're gonna climb the wall over here. So we'll cut these out and climb the wall, and then make new words and continue climbing the wall so they can learn some words that start with QU. And then another section of this I really love is the independent practice. And for the most part, it is able to be accomplished independently. They still might need a little bit of help, or you just kind of sitting there to make sure, but they can go through and write the color of, this looks like their color of eyes, their color of hair, how old they are, and if they have a pet or not. And then draw a picture of their family or home. And then this personal or shared reading for 20 minutes or more is just a read aloud, either from the Good and the Beautiful list or from your own that you've gotten maybe from the library, and they can go through that. And then the next day is going to talk about something different and focus on something a little bit different, right? Some things might look a little bit similar, but as you can see, we're going to do homophones here, but then it'll have some independent practice, and it has us with this art photo over here. And it says with colored pencils or paints, draw or paint a tree or mountains in the box below. And so kind of this picture giving us some inspiration for that as well. Okay, so that is the new language arts level 2 from the Good and the Beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this flip through sort of just intro to what this level 2 looks like. I'm really excited about these booster cards, just something different that I haven't seen before, and it'll be interesting to see how how old is he gonna be? Second grader. He's in 3rd grade math, so it's confusing me. My 2nd grader is gonna do with all of this with his reading. So if you enjoy these types of videos and the kind of like flip through or get a look at the curriculum videos, please let me know down in the comments so I know to make more of them. And remember to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.